Arsharae, and I'm back with another video. This is the Has and the Have Nots season 7 episode 2. Um so they Candace and Benny are watching the news and they hear that there are 3 gunshot victims. And I'm like, 3 gunshot victims? I know Wyatt shot 2 people, but who's the other person that's a gunshot victim? But um Benny, Benny is like, he's glad that this has happened because he's telling Candace that she can keep the money. I don't know why Benny is stuck on his money, but I'm gonna need Benny to let it go, because as much as he's trying to make Candace keep the money, or hell bent on Candace keeping the money, the more Candace wants to give the money back. She's trying to turn over a new leaf, and she says she doesn't want any parts of it and she wants to give the money back. Um, so while he's sitting there, something clicks in his head, and he's like, Candace, did you have anything to do with this? And she's like, no. And he was like, I wouldn't put it past you. I mean, yes, Candace has done some crazy things in the past. She has done some devilish things in the past. But she's like, no, I didn't do this. I didn't have anything to do with this, which we know she didn't. She's trying to live right, and Benny is like the little devil angel. You know how you have the angel on one side, on one shoulder, and the devil on the other shoulder. Benny is being that devil right now, like he really is. Um, so Benny tells her, "Come on, we're gonna go wake up, Mama." So Benny's just trying to. Honestly, Benny doesn't care what happened to the criers. He's just trying to figure out if um he's just trying to figure out if Jim is dead, so Candace can keep this money. He keeps telling her she needs to start a new life. And so they tell her about the shooting. She tries to call Catherine, but of course Catherine's phone goes straight to voicemail. And, she tells them that she's going to go over there and she's going to find out what happened, and then she's going to let them know what happened. So they cut to, it's a lot going on, okay? It's a lot going on. And so they cut to David's house, and David was in a shootout with the people that Veronica sent to his house to try to kill him, because he tried to drown her. And the reason why he tried to drown her is because she kept bothering with Jeffrey and kept trying to make Jeffrey be straight, and Jeffrey's like, he's not straight, and she can't make him be straight. A mess, a whole a whole mess. So the police are at his house and they're asking him, what happened? Does he know anyone that would want to hurt him? And he's like, no, I don't know anything. Jeffrey's like, no. Jeffrey's like, oh, I know who did this. It was my mother. And he's like giving them all the information. He's like, listen, if you want to know where she is, she goes to this place on every Tuesday to get her hair and nails done. She's there from 3 to 6 every Tuesday, and this is her address. Da, 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 da. And when you go in, her bedroom is the first bedroom on the right. And I'm like, dang, Jeffrey, you just gonna give up your mama like that? But I don't blame him. All the stuff that his mother has done to him, I don't blame him for giving her up like that. And his dad is just like, he don't want to give up nothing. Like, are you still in love with her? Do you still love her? Is this why you don't want to give her up? Like, what? Come on, David, what is it? This lady done tried to kill you, okay? Tried to kill you, and you just whatever. And then when Jeffrey asked him, why don't you want to give her up? Why didn't you say anything? You know it was her. And he basically was like, well, you don't know your mom. Your mom can be very vindictive. She can, she can get away from the cops. The cops can't really, catch her because she knows how to get out. And it's just crazy. And then while Jeffrey is talking to his dad, the cop comes over and is like, wow, it's been a bloody night. And they're like, what are you talking about? And so he was like, well, here, it was a shooting here, and it was also a shooting at the Crier's house. And Jeffrey was like, oh my God, he actually did it. So apparently Wyatt actually told Jeffrey that he was going to shoot his parents. And I guess Jeffrey didn't take him serious because he was high or whatever, which I said it looked like he was high. He was high, and Jeffrey didn't take him seriously. And Jeffrey didn't think that he would make good on his threat to shoot his parents, but he did. Um, Mitch pulls up. Mitch pulls up to get Benny. You know, he's talking to Candace, and while he's waiting on Benny, and he's telling Candace that they're family and that he loves her and this, that, and the other. And if she ever needs anything, she can ask him. It's no issue. I think Mitch wants Candace. Mitch loves Candace more than just in a friend way. I think he wants to be with Candace, and I think before he had a crush on Candace, but I think like now he like really really just wants to be with her. Um, not Jeffrey. Benny comes down and he's like, hey, break this up because they had none. They were hugging, and he's like, I don't like the look, the look of this. So you know, eh, hmm, they might end up together. We'll see. I don't know. Derek calls to speak to Hannah, and bro, just give it up. Hannah don't want to talk to you. Like, yes, it was a long time ago. Yes, you made a mistake, but you gotta let. You can't rush people's forgiveness. You can't rush people's healing. You gotta let her forgive on her own time. You gotta let her heal on her own time. And you can't rush that. You can't talk to her when you want to talk to her. You have to talk to her on her time. So yeah. So Candace answers the phone and she's like, who the hell has a house phone? But they're talking and he asks, can he speak to Hannah? And Candace is like, this isn't Hannah. And he was like, well, who is this? And she was like, well, apparently I'm your daughter. So they're talking, and he says he wants to meet up with her. At first, I thought Candace was going to meet up with him or whatever. But then she kind of gave him the cold shoulder, and she was like, I will let you know if I want to meet with you or not. Basically, that's basically what, she said to him. So one of Catherine's boy toys from the hotel is in a penthouse, um, that he got through Catherine. And I was trying to figure out how he tied into the storyline. But to tell you how Tyler Perry thinks, it made sense. So basically, him and his friend are talking. He's saying like how he has Catherine in the palm of his hand. She's paying for everything, and that he's basically living a good life now that he's now having sex with Catherine. And his friend was like, "Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you might want to have a couple of drinks because this might be your last night in this house." And he's like, what are you talking about? And then so his friend told him, well, there was a shooting at Catherine's house and 3 people were wounded, and there's only 3 people in the house, so you do the math. And so he was like, dang man, you right. And so he wasn't really concerned with Catherine. He was more concerned with the fact that, his gravy train, which is Catherine, might be coming to an end. And that he's lost his gravy train in Catherine. So we go to the hospital where Justin is, and Justin keeps buzzing, and the only nurse that he wants is Madison. So now it seems like he's stuck on Madison. First he was obsessed with Jeffrey. Now it looks like he's about to be obsessed with Madison. Madison doesn't want to deal with him. Madison sends the other nurse in there, but he told her, no, go get Madison. So Madison went in there. He tells Madison that he's leaving against doctor's orders. And Madison was like, well, you can't do that. And besides, you're under arrest. And he said, well, I made bail so I could leave if I want to. Then it's like this weird scene where Justin asks Madison to help him get dressed. And I'm like, bro, you can't get dressed on your own? Like, that's just this. Like, Justin is a twisted individual. In his mind is just twisted. He's a twisted individual. He's just crazy. He's delusional. He's a maniac. And while Madison agrees to help him put on his clothes or whatever, and then Justin is like, "Oh, you work out, don't you?" And this, that, and the other. And then he blocks Madison from leaving, and Madison's like, bro, move out my way. And he was like, you work out, don't you? And Madison was like, yes, I work out. And if you don't move out my way, I'm about to bench press your ass against this wall, then move you out my way, basically. And I'm like, okay, Madison, you know, get him out your way. So Landon meets Oliver at a bar, and he's still upset about being fired. And I'm like, Landon, let it go. You messed up. You dropped the ball. You don't got no job no more. Leave it alone. He basically is like threatening Oliver um about the whole situation. They talk a little bit, and he gets mad, and he ends up walking away. And that was the end of that for now. Celine agrees to meet with Veronica, and she calls Veronica. She says, I'm going to meet with you. And Veronica, unbeknownst to her, has some uninvited guests in her house. So basically, the guy Real, who she hired, and who he had his friends come try to shoot David, try to kill David and Jeffrey. Um, he basically got all of his friends, and they surround Veronica. And when she look around, there's people all around her house. And for someone to be surrounded by a bunch of gangsters, she still does has no filter. She still does not care what comes out of her mouth. This woman is ruthless, and even though she's surrounded by these people, she is not shooken at all. She's making jokes, and she's just whatever. She's Veronica. We know how Veronica is. She agrees to pay, not because of the people, but she said she was doing it anyway because she said they didn't scare her. She agrees to pay for the funerals of the two people that lost their lives while they were trying to kill David and Jeffrey. And she also says that she's going to set up college funds for the kids, for their kids, which she was like, oh, I'm gonna set up college funds for those little bastards. And he was like, don't call them bastards. They're my nephews and my nieces. And she was like, well, they're still bastards now, aren't they? They don't have any dads. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman. Like, she's the type of person that you hate her, but you love her at the same time. Like, it's that love-hate thing. Veronica is a mess. So Landon, even though Landon walked away from Oliver, he's back in the bar. He's still arguing he goes back to arguing with Oliver. He makes Oliver leave his own table. Then he's spiraling. He's losing his mind because now he calls Candace. And he tries to convince Candace to let him fix it. He's trying to get back in her good graces. But the only reason he wants to fix what's going on with Candace is because he wants his job back. Because that was a part of the reason that he was fired, because of the whole Candace situation. And like, even though he was supposed to clean her up, somebody found out about who she really was, and they ran a story about it. And unfortunately, the president-elect had to cut ties with Candace, even though he loved her, because of everything that was going on, and he couldn't have that type of negativity around his campaign. Therefore, Landon was fired because he didn't do his job properly, and he didn't get in front of the story and kill the story. So Candace is like, she doesn't want anything to do with it, and she tells him that she doesn't want to be back in the good graces of the president-elect. She doesn't want to be in the limelight. She's over it. So he hits a dead end with Candace. Then, in his desperation, he hits on a total stranger, and he asks the guy if he's gay. The guy says no, and then he was like, "Well, are you curious?" And I'm like, Landon, bro, give it up. Like, the man don't want you. So apparently he sees Scott, and I think Scott was the one who was running against the president-elect Charles. I'm not sure. I forget. I haven't watched this in a while, but anyways, I know there was some kind of beef between Charles and Scott, right? So Landon sees Scott kissing a woman in the corner, and this woman is not his wife. He's married. This isn't his wife. So Landon takes it upon himself to take pictures, and the guy was like, the stranger who he hit on was like, "Are you taking pictures of me?" And Landon's like, "Shh, no, I'm not taking pictures of you." So he was trying to take pictures of Scott, and so he's basically going to use those pictures to blackmail Scott into getting whatever he wants from Scott. So outside the quiet house, Hannah manages to get to the front, and she manages to talk the police into letting her in. Then Wyatt sees her walking up to the house, and he calls her. He says, "Hannah, Hannah," and she's like, "What?" And he told her, "I finally did it," and she's like, "You finally did what?" And he's like, "I shot them." So he keeps saying that he shot them. He keeps admitting to shooting them. So the officer takes Hannah up to see Catherine. We see Jim downstairs. He's on a stretcher. They're rushing him to the hospital. Which this whole thing, I know it's a television series, but it's kind of unrealistic. That as if like, excuse me, this could be hours later, and this guy is still there when he is still alive at this point, and you guys haven't rushed him to the hospital. I know it's a show, but that's like really really unrealistic, you know. But anyways, Catherine was not shot. You know, apparently Wyatt shot at her, but he shot above her head, so he missed her, and she just fell in the water, and she just stayed there and came up like just so he wouldn't notice her. He came up, she came up, breathed a little bit, and went back underwater. So he wouldn't shoot at her again. She's adamant about knowing what happened to Jim. And I'm like, why do you care? Y'all was going at it. You've wished death upon him. You said you were going to do things to him. So why do you care if he's dead or not? But I get it. That's her husband. She probably still cares about him either way. And when you're in an emotional state, you just want to know that everybody's okay. So Hannah goes to ask about Jim, and the police tell her that Jim may be targeting Benny because there was a piece of paper with Benny's name and a date found on it. She tells him that she doesn't know anything about it, but we know Hannah's lying because we know that Hannah knows that Jim is after Benny for the money, that the $8 million that Candace has. But Candace is going to give it back. That's what she says. So um Hannah goes back to ask Catherine about it, you know, and Catherine says she doesn't know anything about it, and I believe Catherine because Catherine loves Hannah. Catherine loves Benny. I don't think she would let anything happen to Benny, if she knew about it. So, and Hannah basically said that she really wasn't worried about that because she was already going through a lot, and she was stressed out, and she was trying to figure out what happened to Jim, and she was upset that her son tried to kill her. So then we get a shocker at the end of the episode. The police arrest Catherine for the murder of Jennifer Salas, and Catherine's like, "What?" And you know the DA, he's like, "Yeah, we got you." And I'm like, bro, I just want to punch him in his face. I'm like, Catherine does not deserve to go to jail. I mean, she did the crime. We know she did the crime. But she's so sweet and so nice. Like, I just don't see Catherine surviving in jail. I don't. But that's where the episode ended, and we shall see what happens in the next episode. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already done so. And remember, if no one else tells you that they love you, Arsharae loves you. Love you. Bye.